Hey everyone, here's what's coming up tonight on News Center Now. The new efforts underway to help homelessness in one Maine community.
In God we trust. You know that phrase. In the state of Louisiana, there's a new law that says that phrase must appear in every school in the state. We wondered, would that fly here in Maine? We'd love your input on that tonight.
Plus, the 15 apps you might not want your kids using. We'll explain why. This is News Center Now.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us this Monday evening. I'm Lee Nelson.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. The clock is ticking for asylum seekers in Portland. They have 3 days left to move out of that temporary shelter at the Expo. The city has already found housing for over 150 people. Those who are left will have to move on to one of the city's overflow shelters. Other communities in the area have been working with Portland to find the families places to stay. At last check, there were still 136 people staying at the Portland Expo.
Also, an order on how to distribute the donations raised for those asylum seekers is on the Portland City Council's agenda, and they're actually meeting right now about it. The Council's Finance Committee and city staff have recommended that $870,000 in donations be put into the city's Health and Human Services account that would be used specifically within social services for the sheltering, housing, and basic necessities of asylum seekers. That's a quote. This will be the first reading of this item on the agenda. The council won't make any final decisions tonight because it is scheduled to be read again on September the 4th. Now, in addition to the asylum seekers, there are a lot of people in Maine who are in need of their own homes. In Sanford, for instance, police say the homeless population has increased significantly in recent years.
So they formed a new task force to help get the homeless the resources they need to get back on their feet. Meanwhile, there's another group that's helping at the same time, a family that immigrated to Maine from Jamaica years ago. Chicken on the grill and vegetables in the stock pot. It looks like any restaurant kitchen inside One Love Cuisine.
It's a lot of work that goes into it. It instantly adds a creamy sauce to it. See that?
These flavorful dishes are made from scraps left over from the weekend.
So I go like 2 spoons per box.
But these meals aren't meant for customers.
What?
Lisa Tomlinson whips up some of her favorite family recipes.
I'm gonna bring some food for Darian and Tammy first.
For people who can't afford them at the restaurant.
They're over by that camp over there. Monica, babe.
And can barely afford anything at all.
Hey, George. What's up, bud?
You doing, anybody?
With help from her brother and sister-in-law, she feeds Sanford's homeless as often as she can.
I'm back
Sometimes daily.
with friends.
She doesn't just provide them with a hot meal.
Nice to meet you, Rob. Hey, Devin.
She knows many of them by name
You talk to your mom? That's awesome.
and makes an effort to find out who they really are. For some, those meaningful conversations and big hugs mean more than the food she delivers.
At first it was kind of like, whoa, who's this person? Like, what do they want? You know, felt like they wanted something from us, you know, like they can't just be going out of their way for us. And then it started every day. It became every day. She brings us every single day. She brings us a meal. She tells us she loves us. She takes care of us.
Just to see the human compassion that the woman has, it's quite amazing.
Detective Eric Small says he also is working to provide hope and give the homeless the resources they need by way of a new task force.
Last week, officers spent time giving out shoes or giving people socks or t-shirts or toiletries, driving people to doctor's appointments or to take a shower or to get their medicine.
Help can come in many forms. For Lisa Tomlinson,
Hey, Darian.
lending a hand is one place to start. And for that savory Jamaican dish,
He's good.
the only compensation she needs
Get you some hot soup.
is a smile.
I love you, bro. No, we think you want to get through this.
So Lisa Tomlinson and her brother came to the States from Jamaica years ago. Tomlinson served in the U.S. Navy, and her brother Rohan is the owner and head chef of the One Love Cuisine, which we first told you guys about earlier this summer.
So it's in the family.
It
They are
is.
incredible people.
And they are so passionate about what they do
Yeah.
and helping others. And Rohan actually, he talked last time about how he knows what it's like to be homeless because a hurricane destroyed his home in Jamaica once and he had nothing. So they really do wear their hearts on their sleeves and they help their community.
They are impressive people.
It's awesome.
Really something. Wow, that's awesome. All right, well, from that happy news, let's go to the happy day that we had weather-wise. Here is
Nice.
Keith to fill us in on that. Hey.
Yeah, it was nice and it was pretty warm, guys, today. Middle of the day, we got up to mid-80s, 84 in Portland, 85 Lewiston, 85 in Sanford, which is a bit of a departure because we've been at or just a little bit below average for the past week or so. You can see where the front that was located, though, north of Bangor, between Bangor and Millinocket, and the satellite will show you the same thing. Front's right here, and there's a couple of showers and thunderstorms along it. I probably should zoom in on that one. Hold on a second. That one's recently severe. There's a couple out here that probably have some hail on them, but I'm guessing that's why they named that one severe there. All right. There's a mouse over here. There we go. All right. You know what? It doesn't look that great to me, but that's okay. That is a severe thunderstorm at the moment. I have to see if there's any rotation with it. And might have some hail right in through Kingman. And moving southeast, looks like about 35 miles an hour or so, east-southeast. So there are some stronger storms out there this afternoon. We'll keep an eye on those as they continue to pop up. Most of them have been more garden variety. And right along this kind of area of higher dew points, so it's got a little bit more to draw on in the atmosphere of dew points in the 60s there. So these showers and thunderstorms will continue in a very kind of finite line overnight tonight, and that line will slowly sink southward here through the night into tomorrow. And then, guys, tomorrow will flip. So northern Maine will see more sunshine, and southern Maine will be dealing with those showers and storms. We'll talk more about that in just a few.
All right, that was kind of neat how you zoomed in on that storm there.
Yeah, I wish I had a more magical way to do it, but there's a mouse over there.
It worked.
So, yeah.
It worked. All right, we'll talk with Keith more in a bit, of course. Let's check some headlines for this Monday evening now. U.S. Attorney General William Barr says the Justice Department has already found what he calls serious irregularities at the federal jail where Jeffrey Epstein took his own life over the weekend. Barr said the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, quote, failed to adequately secure the prisoner. Epstein died Saturday in what prison officials said was an apparent suicide. He was awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges.
Immigrant rights groups are blasting the Trump administration's new rules that could deny green cards to immigrants if they use forms of public assistance like food stamps or Medicaid. The National Immigration Law Center has vowed to file a lawsuit challenging the changes that take effect in October. The group calls the new rules an attempt to redefine the legal immigration system, quote, in order to disenfranchise communities of color and favor the wealthy. Advocates say the efforts will scare immigrants into not asking for help.
Boy, flash flooding has turned roads into rivers in some parts of the Midwest. In Granite City, Illinois, several drivers got stranded in this rising floodwater this morning. One woman grabbed her child and waded through the water to safety. Another one crawled on top of his car there and just waited to be rescued. Heavy rain pounded that area early this morning.
Well, as school gets underway in Louisiana, a new law has gone into effect that requires all schools in that state to display the phrase, "In God We Trust," somewhere on school property. Students also have to study the meaning behind that phrase. The law was passed last year, but is just going into effect as this school year starts. Their school year starts a month earlier than here in Maine. The bill easily sailed through the House and Senate with no opposition. So we're curious to know tonight what you think about this. There's no movement to make this happen in Maine, but still we want to know, would you support it? Vote right now at pulse.newscentermaine.com or find the Pulse section of our mobile app. All right, have you ever been billed for using an out-of-network hospital when you went to the one that was in-network? If you have, you're not alone.
Yeah. And it's a story a lot of people are still talking about from last week, those 15 apps parents need to look out for. Samantha York is here to break them down even further for us.
All right, we've all been stuck behind a car on the highway and can't legally pass because someone is going equally as slow in the passing lane.
Yes.
It's the worst. The Maine Turnpike Authority is trying to help frustrated drivers out with this post. They say to simply camp at the lake, not in the left lane. And if you zoom in real close, you can see a New Hampshire plate on that left lane driver, or you could probably see it's my plate because sometimes I'm guilty of that.
Move over. Yeah. The Boston Children's Hospital is looking into links between e-cigarette use and marijuana smoking. Researchers analyzed 21 studies that involved more than 128,000 young people ages 12 to 24. Those who vaped were 3.5 times more likely to have also used marijuana at some point than non-vaping teenagers were. Interestingly, too, the association of e-cigarettes and marijuana use was higher in the younger teenagers.
More privately insured patients are getting hit with out-of-network bills, and that's even if they go to hospitals in their network. This is really interesting. Researchers studied 6 years' worth of hospital records involving nearly 19 million patients, all of whom had gone to in-network hospitals. Nearly 40% of all ER visits and 37% of all hospital admissions resulted in an out-of-network charge. And the cost of these unexpected charges, like ambulance rides, has also gone up. For ER visits, the average cost increased from $200 to $600. Admissions increased from $800 to $2,000.
All right, once again, would you support the "In God We Trust" motto being placed up in Maine schools? And right now, 55% saying yes, they would support that. Matter of fact, nobody's saying I'm not sure. It's either yes or no on that.
Yeah, okay.
All right, continue to weigh in, please. So there could be some dangerous apps or features to apps on your kid's phone. We want to know more about it, so Sam's going to come in for that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll learn a thing or two. And we're looking out for Kate's forecast. That's straight ahead. Or after a very strong argument
Yes,
by Lee
the
and Keith
passing
on
lane.
Facebook
Right,
Live.
right.
If you were watching, you saw that. We're back with more news now.
We are.
You've probably heard us talking about this story over the last couple of weeks. The 15 apps that parents should be on the lookout for on their children's phones.
This has been like the most looked at thing on our webpage for
I
days
know.
and days.
Yeah.
It's something all of us are talking about, so we wanted to break down a few of those apps for you to show how they work and explain why they made this list. And so Sam York is here to do just that. Hey, Sam.
Hey guys, yeah, so as you mentioned, this is a story that tens of thousands of you have been clicking on. And for good reason. A lot of these apps that are on the site, they're doing things that you might not even be aware of. For instance, this calculator app here seems harmless, right? Might help your kid with math homework. Here's what it's really for. It's not for crunching numbers. It's actually for hiding files in your browsing history. So it's a sneaky way to hide any images or photos that the user doesn't want easily accessed in their phone. So this is kind of showing you here. The keypad that it has is actually the password. And then these are different, there's a whole bunch of different calculator apps actually that you can download and use. So there's here's one of the 15. Then we're moving on to the dating apps. So we've got things like Bumble, Grindr, Meet Me, apps that you guys have probably heard of before, but police say that these are especially problematic because of their location and age features. A lot of these allow you to create your own profile. It doesn't link it to your Facebook page. So a lot of these kids might not even really know who they're talking to. And then let's touch back on that location feature, okay? This Snapchat, super popular among young kids right now, get it, but this is a feature that you need to know about, parents, if your kids are using it. It's the Snap Map feature. All of these people right here, these are people on my friends list. They're showing up on the map. But here's what happens. If you zoom into me and Liam, whose privacy settings need to be changed, Liam, you can see, look at this. You can see exactly where I'm standing. And it even has like a Google image type feature, so you can actually see the building and everything. In my opinion, that's like the scariest feature.
That is really
Does
scary.
your 27-year-old?
Where a kid was, right.
You know, but
find
it's, and another thing, police say it's used for sexting, things like that, because of course with Snapchat, anything you send, it instantly gets deleted. So, I mean, a lot of these apps that they're talking about. They can pose serious dangers and everything else. So did you guys see any on there that you were?
I was surprised by Snapchat. I didn't realize that location feature. I mean, we could pinpoint Liam right over there at the Digital Center.
No.
Oh my gosh, there he is.
We also asked you guys at home
Yeah.
to kind of weigh in on what you thought.
Yeah.
And Tina, she says that she gets regular email updates about technology and safety concerns. She also monitors screen time, views all history, and knows the passwords. And this next comment's a little snarky, but Sean says they're dangerous, and if you don't teach your kids how to be safe online, don't blame the apps for bad parenting.
Well, I think he's right to his point, but the problem is that there's new stuff so often. You just learn how to alert them about one thing, and there's something brand new. There needs to be something on our phone that just, for kids to just turn it off, so all of that stuff is not available.
Exactly.
I think you just have to take it away.
Yeah.
Liam's also on Bumble, by the way. If anybody's interested.
Shout out Liam.
What's his
He's
handle?
6'1". He's single. He likes to go
Poor
out
Liam.
for different types of food.
He likes walks on the beach. I
Yeah.
think.
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's get it.
He thinks this is all fun and games for now until Luca catches up to this.
Yeah.
Right? Luca's on the
Luca's
Snapchat.
current height, he's going to have to be pretty charming to be on Bumble. All right, let's have a look at the radar right now. And we've got one severe storm out there. And the reason the National Weather Service issued this originally was it looked like it had a little rotation in it, and it is now moving again to the east-southeast. And if we look at the velocity scan, it looks like most of the rotation now has gusted out of this storm. So the winds are all in the same direction, but it may still be producing some hail. This storm is. There's a few more out there as well. Let me actually just back up real quick and just show you where these other ones are. A few more storms coming out of New Hampshire and a couple over down East Maine, but this is the only severe one. At the moment, at least, we'll keep an eye on that. All right, hour by hour forecast, keeping the showers and storms, and this is part of a warm front that's actually going to slink back down south overnight tonight. So the showers and storms will kind of follow along with that and slowly start moving into the mid-coast and eventually into southern Maine by tomorrow morning. Then the front's going to be stuck over the southern third of the state tomorrow. The result of that is a flip in today's conditions. So northern and central Maine will see a much nicer day tomorrow. Southern Maine will see more chances of showers and thunderstorms, although not a washout by any stretch of the imagination. Best chance for thunderstorms will be in the afternoon with temperatures in the upper 70s. Then we start with some clouds on Wednesday morning and then clear those out for Wednesday midday into the afternoon. And the best stretch of this week will be Wednesday midday through the day on Thursday, because Thursday looks like a nice dry day as well. But the temperature trend here has been average to just a little bit below, straight through into the weekend. And when we look at the mid-range signal, it's about what we thought it would be, which is going to take until the middle part of August to get the heat back. You see these cooler colors here, and then watch this ridge try to build back as we head into mid or really early next week. And that's the kind of signal that we had seen a lot of over the summer, lots of reds. So I think by mid next week, we'll forget we cooled down at all. It looks pretty hot straight through there. So if you like this, great. I like it too. I don't want it to continue going in this direction though, and I don't think it will. Scattered showers on Friday. The weekend looks pretty decent, and then perhaps some showers on Sunday afternoon, but overall not bad. Now back to that passing lane thing, Lee. Here's the thing. If you want to join us on Facebook Live, Lee and I, that's like as spirited a conversation as we've been in.
Yeah.
We usually agree to a scary.
Yeah, we want to know what you guys think about that. Is it the fast lane? Is it the passing lane? Let us know your thoughts.
It's not a debate, it's the passing lane.
If,
There's no debate,
his
it's
argument,
the passing lane.
This straw man argument he came up with was, what if it's an emergency? And I said, what percentage of people who are going 85 in the left lane are in an emergency? It is
the
under
passing lane.
0.5%.
If somebody is going faster, you move over, and then you can go back. It's the passing lane.
I'll tell you what.
He's the guy.
In 7 weeks from now, if I'm in that left lane, it's an emergency. Get out of my way.
Exactly.
Boom. Boom.
It happens, but it's rare.
I think we have some other news we have to get to, Keith. The founder and president of Baxter Brewing is stepping down.
Yeah, Luke Livingston announcing today he will be retiring from the Lewiston Brewery effective September 13th. The brewery was the first beer in New England to package all of its beer in cans only, which is now a foregone conclusion by today's standards. Perhaps not coincidentally, this announcement coincides with the release of Baxter's 100,000th brewed barrel of Stowaway IPA, more than any other IPA brewed in Maine's history. Livingston won't be on the sidelines for too long. He says, quote, "I don't sit still well, and after 10 years, it's time to find my next adventure." Jen Lever will be taking over as company president. Very interesting.
Good luck, Luke.
Yeah. Have you joined one of those subscription clothing services like Stitch Fix?
Well, Nike has just launched one for kids. It's called Nike Adventure Club. The service allows parents to order shoes for kids ages 2 to 10 as often as they want. You choose from 3 monthly tiers of subscription services. They range in price from $20 up to $50. Nike will send you an email to pick from a selection of about 100 Nike and Converse styles. The Adventure Kit arrives right at your door, and it's got your kid's name right on it.
So I think you pay that fee, and then you have to, if you want to keep the shoes, you pay on top of that. I think that's
Is that how it works?
And then
Okay.
how
I
it-
think that is
which
how
could
that
be
works.
kind of expensive, I guess, if
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
It all depends on what.
it could be. And
And
the
then-
kids grow out of them so fast.
Yeah, right. Well, that's probably. But and then again, you're like, okay, I don't need any more shoes, and then the next batch comes, and then the next batch comes,
Yeah.
and then the next batch.
By the way, can we just go back to the travel lane for a moment? That is a ticketable offense. To travel in the passing lane is a ticketable offense. And
High
they will-
five.
It
High
is.
five.
They can write you a ticket for
Yep.
camping out in that. All right. I'm just saying.
So Keith, you lose. All right,
Just
what's coming up
saying.
at 5:30?
We got a lot more news coming up on News Center at 5:30. You know, many of us were just reeling when Trooper Ben Campbell was killed by a wheel that came flying off a passing truck, thinking, how could this happen? Well, guess what? It happens a lot, and it is terrifying. But there's a very simple device that, if required here, like it is in Canada, could prevent all of these accidents, many of them fatal. We'll take a look at that. And could someone be stealing your mail? Would you know it if they did? This is becoming a real issue in several Maine communities, but there is a really easy way to track the mail that is put in your mailbox so you know if it's there when you get it. So we'll tell you all about that.
Okay.
There you go. Ticketable offense.
Boom.
I love that. You
We-
asked.
We should just
Cindy
end the
answers.
show right here. Don't let Keith talk anymore during this show. Does he have brain drops today?
He does.
Oh shoot.
That puts a lot of pressure on me.
All right.
You don't want to. You don't want to hear brain drops from me. We'll see you guys at 5:30.
right.
We'll see you when we come back.
All right, tomorrow's whole show is on left lane and passing. So this is interesting to me. This is our latest numbers on what kind of fuel we use for energy in the United States. And we talked a little bit about this before, how natural gas is what killed coal, so to speak. It wasn't any kind of regulation. Nuclear has been a declining amount because people are afraid of it. Chernobyl didn't help. But renewable energy, only 11% right now. What's interesting is that you think about solar kind of getting a lot of the press, but it's a small percentage. And the other is biofuels, including...
Wind is bigger than I thought.
Yes, wind is pretty big, and wood at 19%.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit more about this tomorrow. What do you think? Do you think wood, just off the top of your head, could be a carbon neutral fuel? Because that's how it's kind of sold, is that burning wood is not a big CO2 emitter because you're planting more trees, but it's...
Right. It all depends on how it's done.
It's
Right. The
complicated.
process by which. But
Yeah.
we've seen stories here in Maine of turning wood waste into jet fuel and that sort of thing.
Right, so there's some really good parts, and a lot of people just straight up chop wood for a wood stove. So is that carbon neutral? We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow.
Very good.
And the left lane passing,
And left lane drivers.
passing thing. In case you have an emergency, you didn't call an ambulance.
Flat earthers and left lane drivers right here in Keith's
I'm
mind. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts now.